Hello and welcome to Views on News. I'm Jawad Tehami. Pakistan's caretaker Prime Minister Mr. Anwarul Haqqaqar addressed the 16th summit of the Economic Cooperation Organization in Tashkent in Uzbekistan, where he stressed the need for making the ECO more vibrant and efficient through accelerated reforms to realize its full potential. He has also further said that the corridor-based approach adopted by the ECO to maximize the potential was a step in the right direction. We'll be taking up for discussion the important points and the significant things which have been highlighted by a Prime Minister in his address at the 16th summit of ECO, specifically regarding the Israeli atrocities in Gaza. He highlighted this issue, saying the issue needs to be addressed in accordance with the relevant United Nations Security Council resolutions, also urging the ECO member countries to push for a ceasefire in Gaza. Also, the Prime Minister highlighted the Indian atrocities in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, saying Pakistan continues to rely on its fraternal ECO countries to support the exercise of the right to self-determination for the people over there in IIOJK. On the sidelines, the Prime Minister also held meetings which include President of Uzbekistan, Mr. Shavkat Mirziyoyev. Prime Minister had a meeting with President of Azerbaijan, Mr. Ilham Aliyev, as well as the Secretary General of Economic Cooperation Organization as well. The Prime Minister also has highlighted the kind of collective measures and the response the ECO member countries need to take when it comes to combating Islamophobia. We'll be taking all these aspects of our discussion in today's show. For that, we are honored to have been joined in the studio by Dr. Tughral Yamin, Senior Analyst. Dr. Tughral Yamin, thank you very much for your time, for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. Also in the studio, we are honored to have been joined by Dr. Attiq Rehman, Expert in International Relations. Dr. Attiq, thank you very much for your time, also for being with us in the show tonight. Really appreciate that. Let me begin with you, Dr. Yamin. Now, when we specifically talk about ECO, from its establishment up till now, what were the major goals and objectives at that particular time? Over the years, with its expansion also, how far this particular regional organization has come so far?
Tehami Sahab, ECO was created in 1985. It was created on the basis of former RCD, Regional Cooperation for Development, which had as its founder members Pakistan, Iran and Turkey. And this was expanded after the Soviet Union broke up into a number of Central Asian states. So this expanded ECO was formed in 1985 in Tehran, and now it has 10 members, which includes Afghanistan, Azerbaijan, other countries in the region. This forum was created to mirror ASEAN as a trade forum, as a common, like EU, a common market, to create a common market. It hasn't been, it has not come up to its expected promise for a number of reasons. One major reason has been the constant crisis in Afghanistan. There have been wars in Afghanistan, and even now after the Taliban have taken over and one had hoped that there would be peace, peace has not returned. So one major reason that this organization has failed to reach its true dimension is the scarcity or deficiency of peace and stability in this region. But it has tremendous potential, and there are it has a full-fledged bureaucracy, and there are efforts to make it more functional. The meeting this time focused more on what is happening in Gaza and what kind of common approach the countries of the region could adopt. But also they spoke about trade and business and things like that, and they were good meetings on the sidelines of our caretaker Prime Minister with the other heads of state in the region. So that's in a nutshell what ECO is.
Let me bring Dr. Attiq also into the discussion. Dr. Attiq, what's your understanding how this particular regional organization has fared up till now, or what sort of potential when it comes to having a common market and boosting trade and economic relations within this particular region among the member countries is?
This organization, as explained by my colleague expert, is having a lot of potential for bringing the new avenues, for exploring the new avenues for the business and the trade. But unfortunately, the inclusion of the former Soviet states and its present status, it remained this organization remained immature in the existing multilateral framework of the international community. So every time they meet, they conclude some outcomes, they design some initiative, they pass some statements for their future goals, but the outcomes are not very much satisfactory.
In that sort of scenario, we see there has been emphasis that has been laid by caretaker Prime Minister Mr. Anwarul Haqqaqi regarding the accelerated reforms to reap the full potential of this particular regional organization. So what those possible reforms could be in order to reap that dividend out of this particular regional cooperation could be, what could be the broader contours of that, where to start from to make it more vibrant and more efficient, as has been emphasized by Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister's statements today shows that Prime Minister of Pakistan is referring toward the formulation of a comprehensive multilateral framework. Like when Prime Minister mentioned about the Gaza crisis, then Prime Minister is referring toward the multilateral stance of this organization, 10 members. So the 10 members can develop a consensus base their standing on any issue. I mean, if the kind of trade, if we talk about the trade, they are having the bilateral relations. The member states, they are having the bilateral relation, but unfortunately the multilateral framework is lacking this thing. Like today, Prime Minister mentioned the issue of Kashmir and the Gaza. So indirectly, Prime Minister is referring toward the unanimous stance of this organization, which could send a realization to the whole international community about the ongoing issues of Middle Eastern and the South Asian issue.
Okay, so that come into the political domain when we talk about the situation in Gaza and the kind of violations, the human rights violations, and the kind of high-handedness Indian authorities and their troops are doing over there in IIOJ. We'll definitely touch upon this particular area. When we talk about the main objective of having a common market in this particular region based on the idea of ASEAN as well as the European Union, as has been mentioned by Dr. Yamin also. Now, what sort of reforms are required in that particular direction to get the maximum dividends out of this, making this region a common market where there is so much potential already? How to capitalize that?
Yeah, the member states, they need to emphasize on the regional connectivity. Like on the one hand, we are having the Central Asian states, then the inclusion of Azerbaijan, that means the participation of the Caucasian region as well, and here is the South Asian region. So the members country, if they are strongly determined to achieve something, then they need to emphasize on the regional connectivity. So any framework or any consensus-based agreements for the promotion of trade, as it is stated in its objectives, if they will be successful in achieving a consensus-based standing or any interconnectivity plan for the promotion of the trade, then that could be a satisfactory achievement.
So what could be ideally the broader contours related to that? What would you suggest regarding that?
See, we can see presently in the international system, there are a number of multilateral trade agreements based on the intercontinental or the regional connectivity frameworks are emerging. So one of the potential step of this organization could be if the states from the Caucasian or South Asian region will be agreed to start something substantial for the promotion of the trade and the stability of their entire region, the three regions. That could be an appreciable.
This particular word that you have just mentioned when it comes to stability of this particular region, as Dr. Yamin has already highlighted, because there was a huge potential associated with this particular organization. The main reason Dr. Yamin was of the view there was because of the instability and the kind of wars that Afghanistan has seen. So Afghanistan also lies at the crossroads of this particular region. How important that one is, according to your understanding?
So there are a number of points from where we can measure the stability, the question of stability, like when we talk about Afghanistan, when we talk about the Kashmir issue. Like the Kashmir issue, there is an excellent format of cooperation between Azerbaijan and the Pakistan. They are agreed on the Kashmir issue. And regarding the Afghanistan issue, we see the post-US withdrawal situation. There are a number of meetings that are going on. I mean, once when the Pakistan invited the OIC members to discuss the Afghanistan issue at the in the similar directions, the Indians also arranged a virtual conference, multilateral conference with the Central Asian states for the Afghanistan issue. So we can say that there are a number of challenges, like I mentioned the India. So there are a number of challenges which are basically undermining the potential of this organization. So the member states, they could understand the key strategic points, I mean, which are causing the instability.
For deeper understanding as to how basically the stability and security, when specifically we talk about Afghanistan, is crucial for the success of this regional organization and the maximum benefits or the potential which is associated with it to capitalize upon that. Dr. Yamin, now when Prime Minister talks about making this regional organization more vibrant and efficient through accelerated reforms, what reforms could be there to start with?
If you take a look at EU, there is a region in EU which is called Schengen, and they don't have any physical borders. They can just cross over. And similarly, they have also reduced tariffs, trade tariffs, etc. Some of the countries have very, very low tariffs. In fact, when Britain opted out of it and went through the messy divorce, which is called Brexit, they realized that they have committed a faux pas. They are suffering because, again, there will be barriers. The movement of goods will not be easy. So the important thing is that the trade barriers to be brought down and even the physical barriers to be brought down. But we have seen that in case of Pakistan and Afghanistan, which were supposed to be or are conjoined twins, we have got physical barriers now, and we have just seen that the expulsion of the Afghan refugees is facing problems because people on the other side are closing down the borders. So these are things which should not happen. Okay, let the refugees go back, but if they get their passports made, they should be allowed to come back again.
That is what the government and the authorities have been repeatedly saying, that this particular crackdown is against only the illegal foreign nationals, but those who have their documentation with them, they are free to live over here and do the business.
Agreed. What I'm trying to say is that physical barriers are intimidating. If you travel in Europe, you transit from one country to another, nobody even checks your passport.
Because perhaps peace prevails all over the place in Europe, and it's very easy for people to go and cross the borders. What about Afghanistan and Pakistan?
But there is also a great deal of fear from immigrants. You see, Hungary has again put down barbed wires, etc. They are fearful of the immigrants which are coming from Syria, from Afghanistan, from Pakistan. So despite those fears, there's no checking on the borders, you see, and that creates confidence in the business community. So that kind of confidence has to be created. If you go to Tughral, you will see cargo trucks lined up along the road, and they are awaiting their permission to enter the other side. And sometimes many perishable items are destroyed because the wait is too long. So those kind of glitches should be removed. There are two important projects where ECO can help. One is TAPI, all of us know it, the Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan pipeline, and the other is CASA 2000, which is the electricity. Central Asia has lots of surplus electricity, and that is one thing that probably Afghanistan also needs and Pakistan also definitely needs. So these things can be fast-tracked, but for everything you need to create an atmosphere of peace, stability, confidence, mutual trust, and I don't think that is...
the onus of which lies on the shoulders of what? When, specifically vis-a-vis Afghanistan, the two projects that you've just mentioned, CASA 1000 as well as the TAPI, Afghanistan happens to be one.
Absolutely, that is the major stumbling block. So all governments should make an endeavor to see to it that these things succeed. If we continue to create hurdles in the businesses, if the ease of doing business in this area is difficult, then you cannot see this particular forum mushrooming. But it's not difficult. It's not like SAARC. SAARC, you have got two arch enemies sitting across the borders, Pakistan and India, and because of that, SAARC is not progressing. But we have seen trade blocs flourishing, blossoming. EU, ASEAN are two examples where really trade has flourished because the countries have expressed confidence in each other. And I don't think it's too much of a difficult situation. Let Pakistan and Afghanistan really come close together. Let this mudslinging stop. Let
So,
this.
is it just mudslinging,
No,
or
I know.
the reality is very
Afghanis-
otherwise?
Afghan-
Because the kind of
I
statements, the
agree.
denials repeatedly coming from
I
Afghanistan
know,
side, violation of their international
and-
commitments also repeatedly,
and there are-
Pakistan urging them, Pakistani authorities desirous
Agreed,
of sitting
agreed.
with them, continuously
Agreed,
engaging
agreed,
in dialogue, advocating their case on the international front also.
Agreed.
So they should be coming naturally.
Agreed. But point is that we are not eternal enemies. You see,
That is what Pakistan is trying to make them realize.
They will realize, not now, maybe in 6 months, maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years time, because you see, we are the same blood, practically. People living across the international border, that side and this
What
side.
about dismantling the safe havens of the terrorist and militant
I
outfits over there that are
totally
operating
agree.
from the Afghanistan?
Totally agree that they should not allow their sovereign land to be used as launch pads against Pakistan. Mutual suspicions should be eradicated, should be removed. I'm not saying that given the current situation there is any hope or scope of rapprochement between these two countries, but this can be overcome with a little bit of effort.
What the Afghan authorities are required to do in that regard in order to ensure that stability and security, so that Afghanistan and the people of Afghanistan could themselves be reaping those dividends associated with Afghanistan becoming a safe and a secure passage for the trade activity, economic activity? What needs to be done?
First of all, the Taliban government needs to become stronger. It's not an inclusive government. So there are people within Afghanistan which do not have a lot of confidence in this government. You see, there is a very little, there's no representation of the women, for one. There is little representation of the Shia and other minorities. So they need to meet and make an inclusive government. So there is confidence on the government. They should hold elections. They should make it not an interim government, a permanent government. And whatever system of election they want, jirga or cultural or whatever. And then they should address the issues raised by Pakistan. And it's not very difficult to satisfy us in this age of technology. If we give them the coordinates, that hey, there we know that you have a safe haven there, remove it. And if you don't do it, we can see it through our drones, through our satellites, through our agents, we know it. So
do you think Pakistani authorities have been repeatedly giving them the solid and irrefutable evidence, also urging them?
Right. They don't control the air. That is their problem. They are weak. And they are amenable
so at that particular moment, if they are weak, that requires the capacity building, enhancing the capacity. Pakistani authorities have also been...
We've been telling them that we can build your military, we can build your
offering help on different fronts, right, to build up that capacity.
Right.
So rather than accepting that, if they are weak and they can't control the entire swathe of the territory, why shouldn't they be looking up to the neighboring countries in particular, which are affecting because of their unfulfillment of the commitments which they made?
The Taliban are a people of a medieval thought. They think what they think is right.
And the concept of regional connectivity is not
medieval. No, it can materialize. See, money makes the mayor go. The Chinese are willing to spend there. The Chinese have deployed a full-fledged ambassador over there. No European country or North American country has done that. So the Chinese are putting in money. So if there is satisfaction, if people have the money, if the government has the money, then this fear of Pakistan will decrease. And I have seen all my life the Afghans, beginning from Zahir Shah, I was a young child in Peshawar, they were always blaming Pakistan for one thing or the other, but it was because they thought that there is a neighbor which is much better than us, and they are better than us because they don't allow the trade through Pakistan to them. So they used to find Pakistan as a convenient scapegoat. So this perpetual scapegoating of Pakistan must end, and it will end if these people have money, enough money, so they don't have to look up to Pakistan and see that Pakistanis are thriving and we are not doing so well in life. So there are things that they can be done, perhaps not by Pakistan alone, but the SCO as a whole can also encourage Afghanistan.
The ECO?
ECO, the Economic Cooperation Organization, they can tell them that why are you fighting with Pakistan? Pakistan has no evil intention against you. Pakistan will never fight you. Pakistan never means to fight you. And you yourselves have never taken up the opportunity of making things impossible for Pakistan in the 1965 and 1971 war. You were studiously neutral. You did not do anything which would have harmed the interests of Pakistan. So when you are Muslims and you have common interests, then start talking to each other. So I'm sure these things will pass and they will come to their, I would not say senses, because
like how much time would be required for these things
I
to
don't
get
know.
past? I'll come back to you.
I don't know.
Do you want-
I'm just
but
hope
it should be an estimated
maybe 2
rough
years, 3
estimate
years,
of
4
time,
years,
because
5
we
years,
have seen
maybe.
over 2 years have passed. They would have come with a kind of a plan, perhaps, when they are going to take over the reins of the power. They have such plans.
They had no plans. They just came into power. It was the Americans weren't expecting it. They weren't expecting it. So they just became the rulers. And first of all, initially they were very clear. No, it's the Taliban 2.0 edition is going to better the first one, and we are going to take care of our women folk, and we are going to integrate the other communities. Also, they did not do that, but they have to do it if
They
they want
didn't
to.
dismantle the terrorist safe havens. They excluded women from the mainstream also, and they didn't form even the
But this
inclusive
will
government.
not.
These were all the
This will not go on forever.
forever.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Attiq, now, what's your understanding?
I'm slightly disagree.
Oh, please go
Because,
ahead. Because the kind of projects that we talk about, this regional cooperation, the dividends which are associated with it, Afghanistan happens to be at the very crossroad of that line there. So stability and security over there. So to ensure that, there is definitely a responsibility on the shoulders of the Afghan Taliban.
They will reveal their plan about the regional connectivity. They have realized their presence in the region, and they now realize that they are a connecting point, and that is they are the gravitational point of the Asian broader politics. And in the ECO, they have learned that they have much greater significance than ever before. And now the Taliban government, that is very different from the previous government. They learned a lot. So that's why when they became, they managed they started managing their relations with the other states. Then the people realized that now the Taliban are that different. So that's why there was the international debate that the new Taliban 2.0. So, and now they started developing their bilateral relations without the help of any of their neighboring states. So economic crisis is there, and their economic crisis is basically making them vulnerable to the external involvements, like the Indian involvements over there. There are a number of evidences that Indian involvement were there, and there is a high probability that in future Indians, they will again develop their their sensitive collaborations with the Afghans, because Indians, they know that the peaceful Afghanistan will not be in favor of Pakistan. It is in the favor of Pakistan, peaceful Afghanistan. So the disturbance, if the disturbance continue, that will stigmatize Pakistan's image, and that will stigmatize or damage the other multilateral plan, where Afghanistan is the point, the center point. So when we talk about the ECO,
So when, as you mentioned, that India has got malintentions regarding not creating, letting any stability or security to come there in Afghanistan, because a peaceful and a stable and a prosperous Afghanistan is going to be in the favor of Pakistan.
Exactly.
Now, on the other hand, we see the kind of dividends which are associated with the regional connectivity, in which all these regional countries, the Central Asian countries, Pakistan, Iran, as well as China. So, I mean, don't you think there should be naturally a realization that where the weight should be when it comes to the approach of the interim Afghan authorities, rather than letting any peace spoiler go and once again create instability there?
US withdrawal from Afghanistan has created a power vacuum. On the other hand, that has resulted in the economic instability, and there are some social issues, like the minorities, they are not getting their appropriate place there, and there are a number of other issues like the women issues. There are a number of issues like any other country. They are facing their domestic problems, but that does not mean those problems will damage their foreign relations. The whole international community, they are agreed that they should provide the proper rights to the minorities and to the women. But on the other hand, the Chinese, they are very much willing to have their investment over there, and the other countries, they are also and they are very much willing to have their collaborative economic collaborations with Afghanistan. But the problem is this: the ECO's country, like if we talk about the ECO's country, they need to realize, yes, Afghanistan is weak in terms of economy. So their economic crisis over there. So no, it has launched, the US withdrawal has launched a new competition in the Asian continent, where China, Pakistan and India, they are also very much interested in the post-US withdrawal of Afghanistan. And the Afghan people, the Afghan leaders, they have also learned their presence and their significance in the region.
So what they are trying to do at the moment, if they have learned their own significance at this particular point in history, what do they want to?
Presently, what I see, the political stability is inherited, is very much deeply rooted in Afghanistan. So presently, they are trying to, stable their government on the permanent basis. They will not afford any political instability. So presently, they are more working on their political stability.
So do you think that is going to be possible without forming an inclusive government, without taking all the stakeholders on board, making an inclusive government? Do you think that a political instability, where they are thinking their own way, it is going to be enduring?
Political stability in their terms. I mean, whatever they are doing, they are introducing Afghanistan under their government, under the Taliban government, a new Afghanistan, a well-informed Afghanistan about the changing realities of the region and the whole international system. So there are the issues, they need to bring the other stakeholders, they need to pay attention to number of other issues, but this does not, this scenario, we cannot say that this scenario is leading toward their, their unawareness. They are fully aware about these problems.
So, Dr. Yamin, what's your understanding? Is it possible, is it viable of having such a concept of creating or having that political stability without forming an inclusive government, even if they are able to achieve that for some span of time, is it going to be sustainable?
No, short answer, no. It has to be an inclusive government, and they have to create some means of election, whether it's a jirga system, whether they have a shura or whatever. Currently, it is in the hands of a few Maulvis who have their own worldview. Some say that some of them are forward-thinking. It is said that they are more liberal, but they are in the clutches of hardliners. So to have a government which is answerable to its own people, that is not currently the situation in Afghanistan. So what I said, that instead of an interim government, they got to have a permanent government. So 2 or 3 years is a fairly long time to have some kind of mechanism to ensure that there is a government which has women folk, which has Tajiks, which has Uzbeks, which has Turkmen, which has Hazaras amongst them. This has to be done, and I think the sooner they realize it, the better it would be. And as Attiq Saab is saying, that they are well aware of their shortcomings, so let's see if they can cover up their follies and give course correction to whatever.
Okay, so let's talk about Pakistan's perspective as far as this regional organization is concerned. Prime Minister has also highlighted Pakistan's initiative of Special Investment Facilitation Council for now, which provides a one-window operation for attracting the foreign investment, of course, and bringing the economic stability here in Pakistan. How can Pakistan get the maximum benefit from being the member of this particular organization and also working upon the lines of this particular Investment Facilitation Council?
The SIFC was basically created to attract investments from the Gulf region. It was not meant for Central Asia, but the Prime Minister has said that that the same formula can be applied over here. The problem with ECO, not the problem, but the structure of this organization is such that most of these countries were former Soviet republics, and their new leadership was also from the communist cadres. So they are not used to capital markets. It has been a long time now, 89, 90, and it's 30 years, but they need to reform their system of thinking, their system of working, and they have to liberalize their markets to make sure that capitals flow out and capitals come in,
Okay,
because
so
it is always a question of movement of capital, which is not happening right now in the
so let's
present.
talk in very simpler terms. This very complex phenomenon, of course, which I'm trying to understand when we talk about the main 5 sectors in which SIFC is focusing, that include agriculture, defense production, IT, energy, and mining. Okay, so when we talk about specifically the overall broader spectrum of South Asian countries, they require energy, the electricity supply, in which the Central Asian states are
Oversufficient.
Oversufficient, right? They would definitely be requiring something from South Asian region, and what are those things which they actually look forward to get from this particular region? If the South Asian region is looking forward to get that energy from there, energy and electricity.
The Central Asian states are, they don't have big populations. So I can understand that their probably their requirements are not like the consumers in Europe or North America, whether they would like to have branded jeans or not. But I know this, that the Central Asian states can benefit from the IT sector that we have, because we speak English, and our young people are good at computers. So this is something we can export to them, our knowledge in IT, and we can help them create IT infrastructures in Central Asia. Then insofar as defense is concerned, we are already collaborating with these Central Asian states. More collaboration can be done. Then there is this requirement of heavy industries. Pakistan may not be having it, but Pakistan has got enough trained manpower which can help the Central Asian states improve their state of machinery, and they are good in it. Because they had inherited the industry and technology from the from Soviet Union also. So there are areas where we can find inroads. It's not like that and many people are not going to Central Asian states for quick tourism. They're cheap, they're exotic but cheap destinations. I would like to go and see Farghana, from where Babur came, and things like that. And there's a lot of culture over there. Similarly, we have also got lots of culture, similar culture. So tourism can be expanded really. Defense industry is one. We build tanks, and we build aircraft, and we also build drones. So there are areas where we can export our technology to the Central Asian states. So I'm not a businessman, but I'm sure there are commodities that we can sell to
Right, Dr. Attiq, what's your understanding on this particular
Okay,
front?
the Central
What
Asian
could be exported
states
from South Asian region, especially Pakistan?
The Central Asian states, they are not that much mature in the international system. So first of all, they need their recognition. So that's why they are more focusing on the promotion of their cultural ties with the other countries. And on the other hand, from South Asia, there are a number of things like in the field of education, they can get benefit in the field of, education. When I talk about education, mean the knowledge about IT, in the field of medicine, and there are a number of other fields. Then on the other hand, Pakistan have number of products. Pakistan can help them, or the South Asian country can help them to overcome their food crisis if they are facing any. So number of products in terms of food we can provide them. And then Pakistan's sports industry, then we are having the medical equipment. Then on the other hand, we are having the green products, like there are a number of other products. They are looking towards the South Asia. There are a number of other areas. For that's why they have developed their bilateral relations with the Chamber of Commerce. So the Chamber of Commerce from Pakistan, different chambers of commerce, they are very much active in having collaboration with the Central Asian states. And the Central Asian countries are having the Int'l parliamentary commissions as well with the South Asian countries in order to legislate their visions for getting economic benefit from the South Asian countries.
Right. Dr. Attiq, when we talk about this particular sector of information technology, Pakistani authorities are looking to enhance that very export from Pakistan from here with that manpower in this particular sector also. What sort of benefits do you think Central Asian states can get from Pakistan in this particular sector?
Like in the field of IT, Pakistan is having the sufficient IT capabilities which could let the Central Asian state to get benefit. And moreover, Pakistan is having a very clear vision of IT. And in the AI technology, we have introduced our vision. The President of Pakistan number of times mentioned at various forums that the country is having intention to have expertise in the field of AI technology. So Pakistan is achieving the landmark developments in the field of technology. So those achievements could be beneficial for the Central Asian countries.
Like not only exporting that manpower which has been trained on these lines in IT and artificial intelligence, but perhaps also inviting people from those Central Asian states to acquire their training and education in this related field here in Pakistan also.
There are conversations, there are some theoretical plans between both governments, I mean the government of Pakistan and the Central Asian governments, but there isn't any substantial measure which could rationalize their statements.
Okay, so there has been another development now. Prime Minister, while his meeting with the Azeri president, has welcomed the announcement of a direct flight operation.
Yeah.
How do you think it's going to benefit the people of two countries? It's definitely going to enhance those people-to-people exchanges. So one of the very important areas Dr. Yamin has already mentioned, tourism potential that exists on both sides.
Yeah, recently Pakistan and Azerbaijan, they have achieved this new, development, that new step in their bilateral relation. The direct flights has been started, and it will definitely facilitate the two-sided people in the kind of in terms of the tourism. But on the other hand, the tourism will let the people from both sides to interact freely with each other, which will directly enhance the economy, the business community connection. So definitely when the tourism will be improved, it will leave positive impact on the economy of the both countries, and the business community of the both countries, they will be connected. But the one challenge is left still, the both governments need to do, that is the language barrier. Still the people from both sides, they are unable to understand their culture in terms of language.
So naturally, don't you think more and more people exchanges are required for overcoming that particular barrier as well? There are going to be cultural exchanges. It's going to be in business, on the business front also. It could be on the front of education also. It could be on the front of media, drama, film industry, or as well as when we talk about the exotic tourist destinations which are existing on all the sides.
Yes, the Pakistani, especially the student community, they need to explore the Azerbaijani societies, because the governments are having their future plans, very strong future plans. And on the issue as the Karabakh and the Azerbaijan, the Karabakh and the Kashmir issue, they prove that the both countries are very much committed to stand on the same point in the international system. And I have explored, I was the first Pakistani in 2013 who visited the 3 months fellowship. I was there and explored the Azerbaijani society, and I identified number of areas which are lacking the attention of the Pakistani scholarly community. And the same is the case with the Azerbaijan.
Right, Dr. Yamin, more cultural exchanges, more scholarship programs, perhaps student exchange programs, yes, business exchange programs.
Absolutely.
With this announcement of direct flights from Azerbaijan.
Dr. Attiq should be exploring professors' positions in some of the Azerbaijani universities. That was just on a lighter note. Pakistan and Azerbaijan have in the past few years developed very strong bonds. Pakistan has supported Azerbaijan's stance on Nagorno-Karabakh, and our army chief on his visit to Azerbaijan recently has congratulated the Azeri authorities on liberating Nagorno-Karabakh. So I think there is a lot of potential to build up on these relationship, which have started on a very good note. So yes, Pakistan and Azerbaijan, I think, have a great future together, and if we can send our professors there, students there, businessmen over there, and similarly.
So with this exchange, do you think it's
going
going to be easier to overcome that language barrier?
Tehami Saab, the problem in Central Asian states is that the official language is Russian and the script is Cyrillic. But in the rural areas, and probably Attiq Saab might bear me out, people still speak the old version of Turkmen, which should or Turkic, which should not be difficult for us to pick up, Pakistanis. So there should be courses, language courses in your university, NAMAL.
We have taken a number of initiatives.
So he's already saying that they're taking initiatives. So I'm sure this language barrier should not be difficult to overcome. The Azeris or the Central Asians, as a rule, find it difficult to follow English, and we are so steeped in English language and culture that we find it difficult to learn their language. So Zabane Yariman Turki or Turki Namidanam, but it should not continue for long.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about the 146th birth anniversary of the poet of the East, the great thinker, Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal. Today, there have been tributes which have been paid by all the spectrums in the society, the messages that actually came from President, also the Prime Minister. Now, regarding this particular birth anniversary, how more important, Dr. Yamin, and how more relevant those ideas and the concepts that actually instilled a new spirit among the youth, of Muslim youth in particular, of the subcontinent, that particular time, is required to be instilled now with more and more challenges as far as we talk about the global challenges, the regional challenges, how badly that one is required?
Tehami Saab, Iqbal was never irrelevant. He has been relevant all these past 146 years, or even before that. And Iqbal's particular focus has been on the Muslim youth. Always, he's the kind of verses that we were brought up on, अकाबी रूह जब बेदार होती है, जवानों में तो नज़र आती है उनको अपनी मंजिल आसमानों में. I hope I've got the verse right. I'm terrible at remembering poetry. But the point is, he has always focused on the youth and he's tried to encourage them. He has used the metaphor of a falcon or an eagle, and he has tried to show that nothing is impossible. You can shoot for the moon, for the stars, for everything, and he has always focused on the youth. So I think in current times there is a requirement that he should focus on our youth, which we are not doing, not in the way that we should. One thing that I want to tell, and he's a professor in a university, we should emphasize on hope, and tell the youth that there is hope. There's lots of hope, because I find, unfortunately, in our society, there has been an atmosphere, an obtaining environment where people are being told that, look, all hope is lost and country has gone to dogs, things like that. I think nothing can be worse than that. Things have always been challenging for us Pakistanis in particular, and for the youth also. I was young once, so I had aspirations once. So the spirit of Iqbal, in which he has exhorted the youth to think of themselves as potential game changers, should be emphasized. And there used to be efforts to introduce Iqbaliyat in the schools and colleges and universities. I think that has gone out of fashion. Now we have become slaves of social media, and whatever social media is churning out, most of it is nonsense and fake news. We tend to lap that up, and we are forgetting the message of Iqbal. So I think that needs to be revived.
Dr. Attiq, how important and crucial is to enlighten the youth of Pakistan, that happens to be 60 to 65% right now, with that very message and the ideals which have been expressed and so repeatedly by Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal?
First of all, I really appreciate the government decisions of announcing the holiday on the 9th of November. At least it let us, our youth, to recall the teachings and the message of Iqbal. I mean, presently in the age of information technology, in the age of post-truths, realities, the smartphone culture is everywhere. People are just lost. Our youth is lost in this Android software applications culture. So,
don't you think with this particular culture, with every a person having a mobile phone in their hands, it's even easier for those people who want to spread that very ideal of Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal. So youth have become, in a way, more accessible, and they should be made more receptive to that ideal. What's your understanding?
So this is what.
So rather than this being considered a challenge, it should be considered an opportunity.
So this has happened today. This is what I am just recalling. This has happened today. From the social media, number of people, they share different posts, they share different messages of the Iqbal. It is too easy. But on the other hand, the benefit, the appreciable development is our youth still remember the teachings of Iqbal, the message of Iqbal. So that is appreciable thing.
Dr. Attiq Rehman, expert in international relations, thank you very much for being with us on the show tonight. We really appreciate that. And Dr. Tughral, Yamin, Analyst, thank you very much for your time also for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. With that, we come to the end of today's episode. Thank you very much for being with us.